factions too close together. Oh! LP Red Ring, let's go. Thinking Mule might. Oh! We just dropped 4 Red Rings from that.
What is this? Oh! Hey folks. Since Circle of Fortune has been announced, I've been extremely interested in everything that this faction provides, and in Cycle 1 alone, I've already spent hundreds of hours digging into the nitty-gritty of Circle of Fortune, understanding all the different mechanics and how they work, and today I'm going to be providing you a distilled version of all of that information. If you enjoy this sort of thing, please leave a like on the video. This did take a significant amount of time to compile all the information and put it into a video format. This is going to be a pretty long video, so check the description for timestamps and also the bottom of the video for chapters, and it'll help you navigate your way around all the information. I will also be providing a changelog in the description, so for any updates that change anything I say in this video, I will make sure to update that sheet, and also I will provide a FAQ for any of the questions you may have that might already be answered. In the current game, there are 2 factions, the Merchants Guild and the Circle of Fortune. You get to choose one of these factions, which will dictate how you acquire items. The Merchants Guild revolves around player trade and the bazaar, and Circle of Fortune revolves around augmenting your drops and improving your loot in order to find the items you want for your character. Circle of Fortune players are still able to engage in trade with their friends. Any item dropped while in a party with somebody can be gifted, and there are also resonances in the game which allow you to trade with friends that you play with frequently, even if you weren't in a party when the item dropped. Welcome to the Observatory. As a Circle of Fortune player, this will be your base of operations and where you do all faction activities. You can get your prophecies and also buy your faction-specific items, which we will go into more detail later. To start, we'll talk a little bit about prophecies. This is one of the main mechanics for acquiring items for COF players. You can see I have favor here, which is the currency used to get prophecies, and the prophecies themselves will give you items, there's a reward, and something that you need to do to get the reward. So here's a few examples of different items, and you can spend a small amount of favor to reroll if you don't like any of the prophecies. And here you can see there are new ones. Prophecies can also be augmented with lenses, which we will also talk about later. As you rank up in Circle of Fortune, you will also receive some extra bonuses to your loot, and we'll go over them a little bit now and how they work. So for the first one, you have enemies have a 35% chance of dropping twice as many items. This is just a straight up boost to your loot quantity. For the second one, we have Rune of Ascendance. I made a video on Runes of Ascendance and how they work and what to expect, so if you're interested, check that out. But basically, this makes it so that when you use a Rune of Ascendance on an item that is specifically COF marked, you have a 45% chance to preserve the Rune of Ascendance. So early on, this can be a decent way to get some of your unique items that you need for your build. For the third one, we have Idle Drop Chance. This has a chance to drop an extra idol. It also does seem to work when you're running idle prophecies. So sometimes you'll see a few extra idols drop. Affixes are 50% more likely to be exalted. This is also very useful in the end game. As you start to see exalted items drop, you'll begin to see more of them as COF. For rank 5, there is a 35% chance for double rewards from the Monolith Echoes. So that is the main center chest that you click when you exit the Echo. This used to work with experience tomes, but this no longer is the case. It does work with most other rewards. So like as an example, if you get the exalted items, you'll get more exalted items, or at least a chance for it. For rank 6, uniques have twice the chance to have legendary potential. This seems to be just a straight up 2x to whatever the percent chance for 1 LP is. So if an item normally has a 50% chance for 1 LP, it will now be 100%. At least that would be the base modifier. There are also other modifiers to LP, but that's generally how it works. And because of this making uniques twice as likely to have LP and the way LP rolling works, this also means you're more likely to get higher LP items. For rank 7, we have T7 affixes are twice as common. T7 affixes are generally very valuable and also very important if you want to create strong legendaries. For rank 8, we have items that would drop rare have a 25% chance to become exalted. This doesn't sound amazing, but it's actually one of the most powerful rank ups in Circle of Fortune, and this also works for the rare item prophecies. If you run those prophecies, this will proc on them. That's actually a more cost-effective way to get exalts because of how cheap the rare prophecies are. Rank 9 is the full set drop chance. So if a set item would drop, you drop the whole set. A lot of people consider this to be a dead rank. However, in the future, they're probably going to do some changes to set items, so this may end up becoming a good rank up. And rank 10 is items from prophecies are duplicated. And what that means is that if you drop an item from a prophecy, there's another copy of it that also drops. So this is not an additional item with a separate role. These are all items that drop will have a copy with the exact same roles. So if you drop a 2LP of whatever unique, you have a second 2LP of that same unique that you can then use in the Temporal Sanctum for legendaries. This is a very, very powerful rank up. As you rank up, you'll also unlock your lens slots. At rank 2, you get your first slot. At rank 5, you get your second. And at rank 9, you get your third. The lenses themselves also have rank requirements. If you look at the bottom right, you can see the rank requirements of the lenses. So as you rank up, you will unlock more of those. And also, as you rank up, more prophecies will become available. You can see here I have my prophecy spreadsheet and highlighted the unlock rank. So just as an example, the Rune of Creation prophecy does not become available until COF rank 9. I'll go into this a little bit more detail later, but for now, that's what you need to know about COF rank up. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about reputation, favor, and experience for COF players. One thing to be extremely aware of while you're playing COF is that reputation is directly a factor of favor, and favor is a factor of experience. So what I mean by that is that earning reputation, for every favor that you earn, you gain 2 reputation, and for every favor that you spend, you also gain 2 reputation. That means each favor is equivalent to 4 reputation. The spent favor, this also includes any purchases you do at the faction vendor, as well as rerolls in the prophecy selection. As far as favor gained, each favor earned requires 750 experience. So one question I get quite often is, hi Frozen, I have X amount of hours into the season and I'm still COF rank 6. Why am I not rank 10? So to answer that question, I think one of the main issues a lot of people are doing is they're just making alts and they're never actually pushing a character to high level or into corruption or anything like that. So I put together this chart to help you sort of visualize the COF rank requirements and how leveling up works. Here is the chart for the reputation needed for each rank. And here is the cumulative total for those. And I've also included the favor equivalents and the experience equivalents. So this being the cumulative chart, you can see what the amount of experience you would expect at each given COF rank. And I've also put the character level equivalents here to give you an idea of what sort of character level you would expect, assuming that you started from level 1, which is not exactly the case because you unlock factions a bit later, but bear with me. So I've added here the level 100 equivalents of each COF rank. So as an example, rank 10 is equivalent to almost 2 entire level 100 characters, and rank 9 is equivalent to a little bit over level 100. So assuming you started from level 0 with COF, by the time you are level 100, you'll be almost COF rank 9. And if you're the type of player who typically rerolls by the time you get to level 90 or so, you can see the rank 9 is equivalent to roughly 600% of the total experience of a level 90 character. And one other thing about experience that's really important is even if you are running empowered monoliths, so the level 100 monsters, with a character that's below level 90, you'll still receive an experience penalty. So it doesn't matter if you're a super strong level 70 character clearing level 100, you're still going to be getting a lot less experience. So it's important, if you do want to get all of the COF benefits, that you do level your characters and continue to play past level 90. After you get to your rank 10, you can do whatever you want, but this is very important. Another thing, because favor and reputation are based on experience, there's a few extra things that you can do to rank your COF up a little bit quicker. I've included these here. So just as an example, the Tombs of Experience, this Echo reward actually rewards you about 1400 favor beyond level 90. It's reduced before level 90 and in lower level areas, but this is a pretty big boost. When your corruption isn't high, this is probably the main source of favor that you're going to get. While you're running echoes, prioritize these echo nodes above everything else. So I'll show you one in game real quick. This is what they look like. This is your #1 priority. Always as COF, even after you're level 100, take this node. Every time you see it, go to it, get it, all that good stuff. Another thing here is the experience gained bonus from corruption. Now, for context, I am at almost 3,000 corruption, which will probably be unrealistic for most people. That's totally fine. But the experience gain bonus scales pretty linearly with corruption. So every little bonus of corruption you get will give you significantly more favor and reputation from monsters. So just as an example, me running one Echo, I can sometimes get 10, 20, or maybe even 30,000 favor from a single Echo, which is equivalent to many, many, many dozens of uniques. This is how I've geared out my character so well as a COF character, is just because of getting significant amount of favor from high corruption Echoes. So jumping back to the sheet again, the other thing that you can do is take the experience blessing. So this does not increase the amount of experience and therefore favor you get from the Tomes of Experience, but it does increase the amount of experience you get from monsters. So if you do want to play COF and get as many unique items as possible from Prophecies, take this blessing and it'll help you a lot. So yeah, definitely do that. And one final thing, I don't have a screenshot here, but the experience shrines in Echo. If you ever see a shrine in your minimap while you're running an Echo, always go to it. If it's an experience shrine, you'll get a huge boost to your experience gained, which also gives you a boost to your favor and reputation gained. Next, we're going to jump back to the observatory and talk a bit more about prophecies. So right away, you'll notice that the observatory has 4 telescopes. Each of the telescopes determines which prophecy rewards you will see. It has nothing to do with the events or conditions. Those can roll in any of the telescopes. So the bottom one here, the south telescope, has all accessories, so rings, relics, amulets, and so on. The west one has idols and runes and glyphs and stuff like that. The top one has armors, and the east one has weapons. So jumping over to my spreadsheet, I've compiled a list of all the different prophecy rewards, and also a bit of information about each one to help you determine which ones you think might be worth it, a bit about their favor cost and favor cost efficiency, as well as the rarities, types, and so on. So let's say that you're interested in rolling armor. These are all the different prophecies that you could see in the armor region. And here is the unlock rank. So say, for example, you're level 5. You may see Exalted Armor ×3 because it's only rank 3, you'll have unlocked it, but you will not see, for example, this one, Exalted Body Armor ×6, because this requires rank 6. Going over to the idol region, you can see here there's a bunch of different idols, runes, there's also keys, some more idols, glyphs, and affix shards. In the weapons, it's pretty much just weapons here. There's a lot. This region has the most possible rewards by far. And in the jewelry, you can see there's just jewelries, relics, and all that other good stuff. So as you're rolling prophecies, you might be wondering which ones are actually worth taking. In general, while rolling prophecies, there are a few that are pretty terrible. So as an example, in the current state of the game, the legendary potential prophecies are completely terrible. They're very bad value. I made a video about this. I'll put that in the description, so check that out if you're interested. The exalted prophecies in general are a pretty high favor cost per item relative to uniques, because in general, while you're playing the game, you drop significantly more exalts than you drop uniques. However, the favor cost per item for exalts is actually pretty similar to uniques. So in general, I think that these are very low priority if you're trying to gear a character. Say you've rolled a fresh character and you're trying to run prophecies to get what you need. You should usually try and do the uniques that you need first before you worry about exalts. Then for the shards and glyphs, idols, and all that, a lot of these are actually pretty terrible value. And I would say in general, this is the region that you run the least. Here, a lot of these shards are not actually useful. They might have some value early game, for example, if you want hybrid health, but in general, a lot of these are not actually worth doing. As far as idols, these ones can be pretty good. Sometimes it's really hard to find the idols that you need. They will be also duplicated by rank 10 if you're there, and the chance to drop an additional idol will also roll on these, so you can get quite a few idols from this. The keys in general, I think, are not worth doing. You get a lot from the just playing endgame monoliths, but if you do want to completely grind out one dungeon, then this could be an option for you. The runes, most of these are not actually worth doing. There is one interesting one here. The Rune of Creation is actually extremely important for endgame crafting. When you're trying to make legendaries, you need to provide a unique with LP and an exalted item. Using the Rune of Creation is one way that you can get a lot more legendary crafting attempts with the same base item. So definitely be mindful of this prophecy here, as well as the Glyph of Despair is another one that these are pretty rare, but you can get a bunch of them with prophecies. For the weapons, there's really not much notable here, same as armor. LP prophecies are not worth doing. And in the jewelry, more of the same. LP prophecies are not worth doing. I also hinted at it earlier in the rank COF rank overview, but the rare item prophecies will be upgraded to exalts by your COF rank 8 bonus. So I've also included here, you can say the favor cost per exalt. And you can see for the rare items, they're actually extremely cost efficient as a way to get exalt items. Now, one thing to note is that this won't reroll the base type. So it's still the same base type here. This is mainly if you actually want this base type as an exalt, this is one way to do it. Or if you want exalted bases for making legendaries and you don't actually care about the base type, then these are generally really good. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about prophecy events, as there's some confusion around this. So here's a few events that I have on my prophecy board. You can see here there is a little number 7 beside the skull. That is the number of this enemy that you need to kill for the prophecy to proc. So here you see fulfilled 0 of 2. You kill the 7 rare enemies, it will then say 1 of 2, and then you kill 7 again, and it will be prophecy completed. There's a little bit of confusion on that. Why am I killing a bunch of monsters and I'm not getting the prophecy? And that's basically why. There's another bit of confusion. This is a pretty good example here, Deaths of Void Horror. A lot of people are confused on how to actually get this to complete. I have another spreadsheet here with all the different prophecy events. So all of these events are equally likely to be rolled. So this will give you an idea of what to expect for those events. And in general, a lot of these enemies are actually not going to be found in most areas. So for example, the Void Horror, a lot of people are confused because they run the Monolith and then there's a beacon. There's a bunch of Void Horrors, but their prophecy never completes. In this one, there are actually multiple different types of void horror, and those ones don't count. So another sheet that I've made available to you guys that should help with that is the prophecy event location lookup. And here you can select a timeline, a dungeon, or here's arena, and it will tell you which events can be completed in those areas. So if you're only interested in doing a specific timeline, you can just pick it here, and it will tell you the events that you can complete. So you don't need to go out of your way to try and do different ones. And then here you can do the reverse. So you can pick a event and it will tell you which locations they can be done. So as an example, here's Void Horror. You can see it can only be done in these places. One more thing to note on event locations that you decide to do your prophecies. Recently, it's been confirmed that corruption does affect the LP chance of prophecy drops. As an example, if you have a timeline at like 500 corruption, you will get that corruption bonus on your prophecies. So you may not want to do, for example, dungeon, arena, and so on prophecies, because you'll have a lower chance of getting LP while doing them. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about lenses. Lenses are a very powerful tool that can modify your prophecies, and not using these, as a lot of people find them pretty daunting, will be very, very detrimental to the amount of rewards that you get out of COF. So to start, these are all the lenses that are available. They all have a rank requirement. So as long as you meet the rank requirement, you can buy them and equip them into your telescope. There are regional lenses that only work on the specific area that it says. See, for example, it says EOS lens. This can only go into the EOS region. And they all increase the chance per rank of finding a specific thing. So this just modifies the weighting when you do the reroll on your prophecies. There are also greater lenses here, which can go into any region, and they have more generic effects. So as an example here, there is a lens that blocks the arena events, so you can no longer roll arena events with this lens. There's also one here for Monolith. This lens also blocks high corruption, which is another blocker lens here. So if you use Monolith, you will also not get high corruption events. There's also dungeon blocking, so you won't roll dungeons. There is campaign, so you won't roll campaign. And in general, most of these lenses are usually not worth using. There are also the lens of rhyme and the lens of wealth. These are probably the two best lenses in the game. They are generally good no matter what your situation is, and as a rule of thumb, if you can use them, you probably should be using them. There's also here the unique. This lens is generally really good if you want to roll multiple uniques within a given region. So if you're interested in unique helms, chests, and boots, this is probably a good third lens after these two if you can use them, or if you haven't unlocked them yet, a primary lens. Then there are exalted items and set items. Use these accordingly. I've also put together a tool that will help you with your lens selection. I've gone over this in a previous video, so I won't go into too much detail today. However, the basics of it is you pick your region, then on the side here, you pick the rewards that you're actually interested in. Then you pick your COF rank, which will determine your lens selection. Then you can pick your lenses, and from there, it will tell you your chance of getting a desirable outcome, as well as the favor cost per item based on the lenses that you use. So this number does include the expected reroll cost. So just as an example, I have a few items selected here: unique helmets, unique boots, unique body armor, and we will select the armor region. I'm COF rank 10. It's now doing error validation because I have dagger. So let's put in unique. Now the error goes away, and you can see we have a 5.79% chance of getting one of these desired rewards with the desired events. So it's also referencing this sheet here. And then from there, you can see the expected rerolls until you get one of your desired outcomes. It's 3.45. And then here is the favor cost per item, which includes the reroll cost that's factored into that. So here, if I add another lens here, we'll add the wealth. You can see that the chance for desired outcome is the same, because it doesn't actually modify any of the weightings, but the favor cost per item goes down. Now, if we try, for example, helmets, you can see the chance for desired outcome goes down because most of what we want is uniques, and helmets is only one of the things we want. So yeah, definitely use this tool if you're trying to figure out what lens to use. And I also have a little calculator here on the blocker lenses that can help you determine, based on your event selection, if a blocker lens might actually be effective. Most of the time, that's not the case, but it's there if you need it. One thing I want to talk about is target farming. One thing that I think a lot of people are confused on is they see this timeline to target farm in the Last Epoch tools database for given unique items. Say you've just found a build that you're really interested in trying, and you start searching some of the unique items, and this is what you see. This is not important. Ignore this. Timeline does not matter. All this determines is the specific Echo reward nodes that can drop helmets. That is just one of many places that you can get an item like this. Do not worry about this at all. If you're a COF, it is completely irrelevant. So with that out of the way, another thing that is extremely important is Prophecies cannot drop boss-specific items. So if you see an item like this, for comparison, let's do... See, it says here is a random drop. This means that it can drop from any monster, including Prophecies. If the item that you're looking at says dropped from a boss, this means that it cannot drop from Prophecies. And just as another example, the Mad Alchemist Ladle only drops from the Exiled Mage. And another thing that you cannot get from Prophecies is experimental items. So those also only drop from the Mage. And anything else you can target farm. So just focus on that. If you want, for example, I know a lot of people want this ring here. If you're looking to target farm this the red ring, just run ring Prophecies. Don't worry about Age of Winter. That doesn't matter. Do it in any timeline you want. Just focus on running the, where are we here? Unique ring Prophecies. And as I mentioned before, the LP Prophecies are terrible. Don't worry about this at all. Do the unique rings, prioritize that. One final thing I want to talk about before I close the video is switching factions and the possible ramifications of doing so, as well as possible synergies you could have if you have a Merchant Guild and a COF character. So to start, I'm currently in the Merchant Guild area on my COF character. If you want to switch factions, you will lose all of the favor that you have built up so far, and if you switch back to COF with that character, it'll still be gone. The favor is shared across all your characters, so if you have multiple characters that are in COF and you switch on one of them, you lose your favor. And your rank is still preserved, so if I switch back to COF later, I'm still rank 10, but the favor is still gone. So that is a little bit problematic. Hopefully that changes in the future. Another thing to note is that between factions, gold is shared, as well as crafting materials. So if you are somebody who's interested in playing both COF and Merchant's Guild, on your Merchant's Guild character, you can potentially earn a lot of gold through your sales. And then from that, you can buy stash tabs, which will benefit your COF characters as well. Another thing that you can do is you can buy items with affix shards that you need on your Merchant's Guild character, shatter them, and then you will have those shards to use on your COF character if you need. So if you have some shortage, then this could be a really good way to get some of the rare shards, as Merchant Guild often has undesirable items for really cheap on the bazaar. Another thing that you can do if you have both characters is you can use the gold that you earn on your Merchant's Guild character to run Lightless Arbor on your COF character. So if you do have a lot of gold, there is a gamble mechanic at the end of Lightless Arbor where you can spend gold to get a bunch of items. There's some degree of randomness to this mechanic. However, if you have a significant amount of gold, this can be worth doing. Normally for COF, I would say the Lightless Arbor is not worth it because we have such a shortage of stash tabs and gold is not something we have a lot of. But yeah, that could be one scenario where it is worth doing. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the video. It's been a really long one. If you actually made it this far, I'm pretty surprised, to be honest, but thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.